Hello, welcome to the HolmFront, where we keep everything objectively subjective. I am Tyler, your host, and to my right, as always, is Mitch, my overly artistic friend. Which we just finished watching all of Stranger Things. So
Mm-hmm.
how does it feel? Bittersweet.
Yeah, lots of feeling.
Lots of feels. We're gonna
This
go over all of them
episode,
today.
this episode, we're just gonna do volume 2 though,
Mm-hmm.
which is episodes, uh, 5, 6, and 7.
Yes,
Okay,
because
and
then
then we'll do one more episode just about the finale, because as there's no surprise, there's a ton to say about the final episode.
it's also 2.5 hours long, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of material. Okay, um, boy, I don't even know how you'd start something like this because it's a lot of material. Like we had a hard time even synopsizing all this stuff. But overall, what do you think of Volume
It went on a downhill trajectory.
2? It's right out the gate.
It's definitely not nearly as strong as volume 1, because volume 1 we're very positive of. I still feel that way. Volume 1's great. Volume 2, eh, eh, well, let's do our speed run before I get into, and then we'll just say
Okay.
spoilers galore, and then we'll just dive in, because it'll be easier when we get into the spoilers, I think.
Okay. So this will be a shorter speed run than the one we did before, but whatever. So we'll just jump back and forth, same thing. So speed run influences that we saw in these, a couple more that we didn't think of before. And these aren't just all from Volume 2, it's just kind of in general Season 5. But
Yeah.
I will start. All right, speed run. Things that influenced it: Phantom Menace.
Indiana Jones?
I'll say Star Wars in general, actually, because they do show Return of the Jedi as playing in theaters. So,
No,
but
they showed Indiana Jones.
they did that too. Yes, but Return of the Jedi shows up and one of their what do they call it? Concession stands, not the marquee. There we go.
Don't they talk about
They also talk
they
about it,
talk about it,
but
yeah.
they directly reference Phantom Menace.
That's right.
It's
And then
working.
who is it? Steve complains about the teddy bears, but they're Ewoks,
Yes,
right?
in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Okay, Phantom Menace. Go ahead again. Just whatever.
Okay, yeah. And then Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, which I think the reference here was, this is, I don't want to say, I shouldn't say because it really has to do with the finale,
We'll move on.
but
Just keep it in
I
mind.
will. I will. It doesn't really say anything, but if you know how The Last Crusade ends, because that's the specific Indiana Jones movie that's playing, it's everybody rides off into the sunset and everybody's happy. There's a little bit of
The
that in
disappointed
the
look in your
finale.
face. Okay, Dark Crystal.
Okay. Alice in Wonderland, again.
Majora's Mask
Doom.
with an M, not an N.
Yes.
Doom.
Doom, the video game where you shoot demons in the face.
And then, of course, Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
It was less a speed run, but it's okay.
But I was interested to see those game references show up. Mind
Yeah.
you, the game references were predominantly in the final episode. I need to stop doing this, so you're gonna have to move us on.
Okay.
But
we're moving.
the last episode really was just like it's Majora's Mask and Doom.
You'll have to go into that because people are going to be very
Okay.
interested to see what you're seeing for Majora's Mask because
I
it's
know
like,
they're just clamoring for my hot take.
they are. But my point is that it is a game released well after 1989, and it seems like they're trying to rely on strictly references before Stranger Things.
I don't
date.
think that at all, though. And because the Phantom Menace reference.
I agree.
I mean, the Phantom Menace reference, and this is in the first episode of this set, is quite literally has a scene where it's like, it's working! It's working! Like, what else are you referencing?
Fair. That's
Phantom Menace 2000 is 2000, right?
1999.
99? Hey, that's right there.
Yeah, 10 years. Sure. All right. So let's get into the actual. We're gonna just get into Volume 2. We're not gonna do episode by episode. We're gonna go by points. We're just gonna kind of start generally, and then we'll get into some of the more.
Yeah, once it starts to
meaty
get
things.
real specific, then we'll give you our
Yeah.
okay, now you just have to dive in our spoiler warning. Otherwise, we'll just try to keep things a little bit top level and go through a couple of key things.
It's not gonna be many.
A couple of broad.
No.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be many. All right. So,
What did you do? Are you starting with something you liked or something you didn't like?
both, I think. So the first point that I kind of thought, just in general over the 3 episodes, was that there are way too many characters here. Part of me likes that because they've built this over 5 seasons and they've got a lot of likable characters.
Mm-hmm.
And we even went into some of the ones that we didn't like that actually came into their own. Robin being one of them, Erica being another,
Yeah.
Holly being the one that they added in this season that was doing really great things. But man, some of these instances where it just feels like it's too much. It's overwhelming. It seems like there's too many people to keep track of in a couple different ways. Some when they're all together, and then some when they're all separated. It's like, how do you follow everybody? It was a lot. It was a lot to keep track of. But what did you think of that?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I was starting to really feel it by the last episode in this. I was like, I think we just have too many freaking people running around.
It's
too many really
people
doing
too many things. Yep.
Because like I agree with you. Like I love the addition of bringing Mr. Clark back in, the science teacher, and he finally gets to grapple with the upside down. I was like, oh, this is cool. He gets a moment to actually like what was all theoretical to him is now reality.
Right.
I thought that was a cool eye-opening moment, or at least it would have been if we had gotten to chance to really see it and enjoy it. It's so brief.
It is.
It's just kind of like, all right, cool. I'm glad he got that moment over.
Yeah, so it's done now. Yeah, and he kind of jumps on board a little too quick, and that comes from the fact that they're trying to do too many things, that they had to really condense his adaptation to the whole world. And I was like, even so far as him helping them break into a military installation,
I don't know if he would have been on board with that without a little convincing.
Or like seeing something that really would have dragged him into the reality of things. Like he sees Elle and her doing things, but I don't know. It was a big leap. I was like, I really wanted more time to marinate this because we like Mr. Clark. He's been there since season 1.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he get the obligatory like lead in, and maybe he gets to see the upside down. Maybe he sees it the way Dustin does, but like more.
Yes.
He's like mind. Like, imagine what we could do. The things that we could accomplish. Like, I don't know. It wasn't enough for him.
He should have gotten into his.
He
should have become a nerd again.
Right.
Like hardcore.
Like a childlike nerd.
Yeah, because as a kid, you know, like he likes Dungeons and Dragons, he likes nerdy stuff, but as an adult, he's, you know, a science teacher, and this is how it works. So it would have been
now
fun
he gets
to have
merge
him,
the two.
right? Because he actually gets to do that, and because you know all the other adults, they don't like D&D or anything. They think it's stupid. It's only the kids that enjoy it. So here's the one character who did enjoy that stuff. So for him to see it and then making the parallels with the kid characters,
right?
And then the adults to like look at Mr. Clark like, what the heck? Why did we bring you on board?
Aren't you a science teacher?
Yeah, exactly. I think that there was a lot of fun moments and that could have been had that they kind of they passed up on. The other thing about him is that when they interrupt him, he like wakes up and he's sleeping with the librarian, which is this like running joke they have throughout all the seasons. Like, oh, the librarian sleeps with everybody, which for one is like a weird thing to put on a librarian for one. But then for another, like, I just don't see that being Mr. Clark's character at all. That's
it made
so
sense
out of
for
character
Hopper.
for him.
He just wanted companionship without commitment.
Right.
In the first season. This one was just like, why? You already showed that he had like a girlfriend or something.
Yeah, I thought it was his wife. Bring the cute Asian girl back.
Yeah,
like,
she was cool. He was like trying to introduce her to scary movies, and she was a little hesitant about it. I was like, that seemed like a good, stable relationship that someone like him would have. What is this?
Right.
It was just weird. It was kind of just cheap joke kind of a feel.
Yeah, it's just so that Murray can constantly ridicule him for being like schmutzels or whatever he calls them.
Murray did not shut up this whole thing. I was like, oh, dude, please stop talking for 2 minutes. We already got Robin, like, yeah.
I take you didn't like Murray then.
He's fine. He needs every once in a while. It's like, just be quiet. Just when you're on screen, you don't have to constantly be talking. But okay. The other one that we had was Vicky, and she also needed to adapt. This is Robin's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she also kind of accepted things. Like, at least she has more of a reason, I guess, because she was in the hospital.
Yeah, she sees the demodogs attacking. At first, she thinks that Robin's just an insane person who gets high all the time.
Which was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. I will give you that. But also, we did not get time to see her marinate, really. It was just kind of like shocking intro to the universe. All right, you're part of it now.
I was okay with that one, though. Because for me, like, or I guess more okay, I should say, yeah. Because in every Stranger Things season, there's always characters who have to acclimate and figure out what's going on. And I can see where, like, when it was happening, I was like, ooh, this might be that thing where people are just tired of seeing this narrative come out because it's been played out too many times in the show. But for me, it just feels like a staple. It's like, well, it has to happen. Like you have to drag somebody into it, and the fact that they don't know and they're going to resist that information is where a lot of the tension comes in.
Yeah.
And in her case, like it made for a funny joke, and then she has to adapt like right then and there.
Right.
So then it wasn't going on for episode. Like the one that bothered me when I first watched the show was Max in season 2. Because it's just this huge ordeal to tell her what's going on. Then she doesn't believe him for like 2 episodes. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like they just dragged that out.
Oh,
Took
I see.
forever to get her acclimated. And then she finally was acclimated and was like, all right, we're on the same page now. Whereas here, I felt like Vicky, she gets told everything at like just the right moment. We kept her in the dark for as long as we could. Now we're telling her. Then she freaks out. And then immediately she has to deal with this situation head on. So she's like, okay, never mind what I just said. I'm now trying to survive against these things.
Yeah.
So that worked for me. I thought that they pulled it off well.
Okay. My favorite acclamation this season, hands down, it's Mrs. Wheeler. I was seeing so many memes after the first episode because she takes on the whole Demogorgon with a wine bottle, right?
Yeah.
Which
breaks
hilarious.
it in half, and then
that's great. But then she gets put down, put in the hospital, and then they give her a hardcore comeback in this one. She like gets out of the hospital bed all messed up, and she
slight spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll just jump into spoiler territory because why not? So spoilers, Mrs. Wheeler, awesome. She grabs some oxygen tanks and throws them in the dryer. It just blows some demodogs to smithereens. Which is the scene, if you go back and watch some of our reactions to the trailers, there was one specific one that showed the demodogs in a very specific... Oh, that was the other one, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Very specifically shot way. That was in this episode, was when they're looking for Max and Lucas and Vicky, and they're all hiding in the laundromat, and it makes it look like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
With the raptors going. But after that happens... Mrs. Wheeler comes and blows them to hell. Just standing there like, yeah, take that. Anyway.
I so not to take away the thunder from
He's
Karen,
stealing my
because
thunder.
yes, she's awesome. Yeah, the whole Jurassic Park reference though, I didn't really like.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough because when I saw that in the trailer, I thought that meant we were gonna get like a Jurassic Park-esque as like the base for the storyline.
Gotcha.
But we didn't really get that. We just got that one shot, this one little moment where the demodogs are coming crouching in, and that's it. That's it.
They do go on the expeditions.
Sort of.
But yeah, that's about as close as you get, unfortunately.
I'm starting to notice with the season 2 that I'm having trouble pinpointing what is the base inspiration for it. Because with season 1, it's very clear it's E.T. and Jaws put together. That's it. That is that story. It's both of those narratives playing out at the same time.
With the Montauk reference, which,
Yes, with that as like a kind of tool for character building.
Sure.
In terms of like plotting, it's I would say more of the other two. Whereas like, and then season 4 is just like, it's Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that is our base. I mean, you could also throw in like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or maybe some other ones or whatever, but it's that same kind of, it's teenagers in a horror movie getting killed in a slasher and they have to survive and figure out what's going on. That is the base for that entire season. And then like 2 and 3, I guess it's harder to pinpoint what those references are. I suppose if I sat and thought, I would be like, oh, it's probably this or that.
3 is John Carpenter, just period. 2 would probably be closer to like The Exorcist.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But what's season 5?
I'd have to mull on that further. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems harder than it should be. Oh, also season 4 has like the buddy comedy travel thing that you do.
I guess Wrinkle in Time, but I've not read it, so I couldn't piece it all together.
Oh yeah.
But they really do a lot of references, like blatant ones. Her book, and like her constantly referencing Camazots and all this other stuff, and then Mr. What's-It. So I guess Wrinkle in Time would be the one.
Yeah.
But like the main point is that it's just kind of muddled. They're trying to do too much in one season, and not allowing the things that need to like marinate, and marinating other things that aren't as important. So we'll get into that. So I think with that, we should move to our next point.
Into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I think.
Let's
just call spoilers just in
for it.
general. All right.
Overall, do we recommend people still watch? Is that something we have to address?
Oh, that's a good point. Let's do it after the finale.
I think if you like the ending of episode 4 from Volume 1, if you like the ending of Volume 1, take a little break. Enjoy that.
Let that
then
sink
come
in.
back.
Let it sink in. Will's a sorcerer, and that's a great thing. All right, so as like kind of another general point, we'll get into more details later, but you find out that the Upside Down's a wormhole, which
I love that reveal. I actually thought that was cool.
it was really cool. So there's an episode where Mr. Clark is talking about wormholes, and Erica gets that, and that's in Volume 1. And we initially thought that that was lending to a theory with Holly, that she was going to be able to open up like interdimensional portals and stuff.
Yeah.
It turns out that we were thinking too small, and the Upside Down is all a wormhole. It's actually the gateway to another dimension altogether, which is showing us a shadow of our own. So that part was cool, and all the reveal that went with that. There's a lot of details that go into that, and we'll get into some of that later. But it kind of widened the world of Stranger Things exponentially, really. It's hard to like. Once we get into the details, we'll show. But yeah, like they show how it's connected, and it's like this kind of entropic energy entity type thing that is holding the worlds together. That's kind of it's unstable. And then obviously what the other dimension can and does hold was all kind of it's throughout Volume 2 and the finale. So like I said, we'll get into all those details as we go. But the fact that it is a wormhole and what that opens up was neat. But it makes you wonder if they're going to try and do like a bunch of spin-offs with these types of possibilities.
Oh, yeah. I'm hesitant of that happening. Or if they do, or I mean, it can happen, but is Netflix taking the rights of Stranger Things or the Duffer Brothers?
Don't know.
Because I get the impression that the Duffer Brothers are done because they seem very eager to end things when their story isn't ready.
Yeah, I'd have said take this another season.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know.
In fact, that's my biggest gripe with it. Is it just like it feels like a great ending for some of the characters as it's playing out, but then it just also feels like there's a necessity for a whole nother season because it just keeps, like you said, expanding and including more and more and more. So then it's like, well, then it can't properly handle those, and then it's like, oh, too much.
Sure.
But the Upside Down introduction, I mean, the idea that it's a wormhole, I do think is interesting. I think that, yeah, I guess that subtracts some of the mystery of what it was. But, like, in terms of answers, I felt like...
a good one.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I mean, you think about it as, like, this... They're essentially stepping out into space in a weird way.
Yeah.
But then there's this wall, which they thought originally contained something. And they thought it contained, like, Vecna had sort of built it up as his stronghold to keep himself, and his plans a mystery to everybody else. When really that wasn't what was happening, and it was actually just the construct of the edges of the wormhole, and it's keeping everyone from getting sucked into the vacuums of space.
Right.
So now that that's what's going on, the fact that it's now sort of taking the two worlds that it's connecting and merging them is like an interesting thought for you. So it's like you have the memory, the sort of echoes of like Hawkins, like people's houses and things like that exists in the Upside Down, but then it also has these viney tentacle things that exist in the other world. And it has like the Demogorgons and those bat things from season 4 flying around. And that comes from the other world. So it has this hybridization of both. I would have liked to have seen in this one some kind of weird human character who's like not quite human.
Not aside from Vecna.
Well, because Vecna is just Henry,
Sure.
infected with weird stuff. But I guess that's kind of the question: is like, are there creatures coming from the other planet, hanging out in the Upside Down, or are they just like a copy from the from that other planet? You know what I mean?
It's more of those possibilities that don't really have an answer.
Because it's like if Mike's house can be replicated at a certain point in time when the wormhole was created or whenever that was,
yeah,
then it's kind of stands to reason that it would be copying things from the other world. but then it's like, what does it choose to copy and what does it not? I suppose because the other world presumably is just largely an empty planet, doesn't have anything to
They
copy.
didn't really explore it. Who knows?
This is maybe the problem, is that I'm asking too many questions now, and the
Yep.
show's like,
Yeah, don't worry about all
just
that.
sit down.
It doesn't matter.
Let's just be quiet.
But
now.
that's
It's quiet time.
that is kind of the generalized point, is that it's opened up all this possibility, and the last like 3 episodes of the season.
Yeah.
I guess 4, but yeah, all that to say, like it's just all crammed in the end there. And it's like you didn't really give us time to process all this information like you did with the rest of this stuff throughout the rest of the season. But okay.
I do like how it retroactively applies it to Dr. Brenner, though.
Yeah.
That was cool, because Dustin finds his journal, and that's where he sort of pieces together what this is. And so Brenner was working on this project of opening up the wormhole and stuff. It's like a human-made thing.
Right.
The Upside Down is not something that was, a result of 11, like she seemed to think it was. It was already there. It existed.
Yeah.
And Brenner was aware of that, but Elle wasn't. So Elle thinks she just like banished somebody into this other dimension and tore a crack in reality to let that dimension come here. But it was never her fault. They were already doing that.
Yeah.
They were already pushing for that.
She just
agenda.
opened up a seam that, let her see it and threw Henry into it.
Exactly. She did it without them telling her directly, because we thought originally they just wanted her to be like an assassin, and that's all it seemed to be.
Or something, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, or something like that. But ultimately, it's like they had other agendas they were going to use these powers with.
Right.
And that just wasn't made clear to us. And I like the kind of depth that retroactively applies to all of those characters,
Agreed.
everybody in the lab.
Yeah. And kind of the weight that it takes off Elle, which they also didn't show, but still. Because she thought that she opened it. She thought she created it and sent Henry there, but that was never the case.
Yeah.
So, weight off of her shoulders. Okay. Let's go into one of the more substantial points here. And
okay.
I think I'll throw it over you, because it wasn't that I got a different read. I think I was just kind of over it by this point. And I was like, what is going on? So I'll let you take it away. Jump into
Which one do you want to cover?
Jonathan and Nancy's breakup.
Oh, okay.
Or not breakup.
You definitely had a different read, because your interpretation made 0 sense to me. When you text me, I was like, what? You seem to imply that they got together. And I was like, no.
No. My implication was that they weren't committing to an actual breakup. It was this weird, like, he was unproposing or whatever it is that he said.
And that's what he says.
Yeah, and then, like, symbolism of him, like, tossing the ring. I was like, so what is this? Like, why can't you guys just say we're not good for each other and we got to break up? Like, why does it have to be this, like, romanticized, stupid thing? If you're going to do this, commit and kill them both. Let them die in the white goo that looks suspicious and get it over with. But they didn't, and they were just like, we're going to do this weird, dumb thing instead. And I was like, what's going on?
Okay, so to preface, because that probably sounded weird. So there's this, like, this entropic matter that they don't understand.
So
they think it's like the shield generator from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So they have to blow it up so that way they can.
So Dustin's theory is that that wall contains Vecna, and that wall is being supported by the generator. He finds out that it's not. It's this force.
But at that point, he can't warn them because
at that
he's
point,
sabotaged.
Nancy had already found it.
Yes.
And Nancy, being Nancy, is like, well, let's just shoot it.
Right. Let's just go with his theory, assume it's a correct. Let's not double check with the man.
Yeah.
Let's just blow it up. So she and, like, even Jonathan's like, I don't know about this. And his true Jonathan fashion of just like, well, maybe we should think about it first.
Nancy's like, I thought about it, and I think I'm going to kill it. The thing
I'm
about
gonna give it a try.
The thing about that is that's probably where I started to understand that they weren't willing to take any risks. Because it kind of settles its seed in. Sounded weird. It kind of like it introduces that problem in the first episode when they don't even kill Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. I was like, these Demogorgons are ruthless. Like, there's no way that they lived through this. I understand that he's after Holly, but they're dead. Come on.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're gonna keep them alive. I'm like, that's a bad idea, but okay, sure. So they don't do it. And then they get to this, And I was like, if she shoots it, Dustin has already said, we are all dead if you do this. And then they don't commit to that either.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, no, we're just going to set this up as a scene for Nancy and Jonathan to have like a Titanic moment, which I guess is another reference we can throw in there. But yeah, so like I knew that they broke up. It was just, it felt to me like they weren't willing to commit to that officially. And they weren't willing to kill either one of them off when they should have killed them both off.
I see what you're saying. There was no finality to how it was handled.
It was, they had to skirt around the issue in order to make it happen appropriately to their character. I was like, why?
Well, to be fair, the alternative that you're proposing, at least within the parameters that they set, is already wrong. Like, the mistake happens too far back because if Nancy shoots that thing and it blows up and it kills Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, and Dustin, and Hopper and Elle, and you can't do that.
Right.
You can't just have a bomb go off and kill like half your cast in one fell swoop like that. That's ridiculous. Like, that wouldn't be a satisfying story at all. So, but, you know, nevertheless, like, what they could have done has been like, well, it's a timer, like you said, like, because it basically, the bomb is like melting like the cement around them. That's why it's like this weird white goo. But like, everything's melting.
As suggestive as that
wait a minute.
looked.
How come the people don't melt?
Yeah, that was another thing.
Is it not like some radiation effect that just like melts everything? Wouldn't you?
If it's melting cement, it's melting your skin. You're done.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that wouldn't happen.
I guess maybe it's not melting in the way that we understand it, though. It's just like breaking it down in some way, and so it's specifically targeting inorganic matter.
I guess.
I don't know.
See, you got to make a leap in logic to make that happen.
Yeah,
so
if they didn't explain,
they didn't commit.
I don't care. Let's get back to the romance between Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve.
Okay, do it. Go for it.
Okay. So they shoot it. It blows up. The two of them are knocked out. And then they end up falling through the ground as it melts. And then they're trapped in this room. And they're just getting flooded with this stuff. And they can't get out. Everything's just like sealed in. They think they're going to die. So they hop up on this table. They share this tender moment. Jonathan introduces the fact that he was going to propose. And then, but he does it. They do it in this way where they're like, oh, we weren't being honest with each other, which honesty is going to become an important topic in a few moments. But, and how much you need to share. Anyways, they're just like, oh, yeah, we weren't being honest with each other and we have problems in our relationship. And so they break up in such a way that it makes it seem like they're getting together.
Okay.
And I was more bothered by the fact of what you said other than the show.
What?
Because to me, this show made a decision. I didn't like the decision.
Okay.
It's not that I didn't. I'm pro Nancy and Steve at this point. There was a way to make it work either way. So, but it's basically like the twist has to happen in season like 4, basically. And so in season 4, they decided the twist is that she ends up with Steve, truly, in the end. And I was like, all right, fine. That's what we're going to go with. How I would have done it is she would have been with Steve in season 2 all the way through. And then it's until season 4, that's when the two of them start to separate a little bit because they realize that, you know, they actually do have different interests or whatever. And then Jonathan swoops in. You slowly build
to develop, and then that's what separates them. Is that they both become characters, not just these angsty teenagers.
Yes, they both become characters. They end up wanting different things, and then the shared trauma thing, like the way Jonathan continues to react to this upside down stuff, is the same way that Nancy reacts to it.
I see.
So the emotional connection between the two is what's more important to her, she deems, and then she goes with Jonathan because Steve is able to just kind of brush it off. It's not a big deal to him. And that's great that he's able to do that, but she's like, I can't. For me, it's like this part of my life now, and it's like redefining who I am, and this is like a huge burden.
Okay.
And so it's like, I need someone I can talk to about this, and it's like, I want to talk to you, but you're not really perceiving it in the same way I am.
Sure.
So it just feels awkward and strange. And so that becomes a contentious factor. So it's like either that way or the path they were going down, which I would say I fully admit is the better narrative because it's more unique, and it's that she starts with Steve, but then she rushes into the relationship with Jonathan instead because of the shared trauma thing, only to find out that Jonathan's not a good match for her, and they don't actually share a lot of things in common.
Sure.
And so he's a good friend, but not someone she needs to spend her entire life with.
And now that gives Steve a chance to develop on his own into something that she
Precisely, into something that she would admire
because
and
he
like.
did.
Because he did.
Right. That was shown in
That's
season
what we
4.
were doing.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, no, he's good with kids now. He's like becoming this fatherly figure. He's protective. He's seen the upside down. He faces danger and just goes straight in and says, you know what? I'm going to protect the ones I love no matter what the danger is.
Right.
But then they're like, well, why?
Well, yeah, because they throw Steve under the bus at the same time. Is because Nancy's like Steve knows what he wants and that's great, but just not for me.
That was a bad line.
Who says that? Who on earth?
Nancy,
what woman do you know who's like, oh, like I want a man who doesn't know what he wants?
Well, the thing with that is that Nancy has always been someone that knows what she wants.
Right.
She lied to herself in the first season. That's the discussion she had with Jonathan. But after that, she has never been a woman that doesn't know what she wants.
Yeah.
Consistently, it's been like, so I don't understand what she was. I was like, what? If you know what you want and he knows what he wants, like, why wouldn't that be a good match?
Yeah, because she likes to play edgelord and feel like she's doing something different. Oh, that's what Jonathan criticizes her of in season 1. He's like, you want to pretend like you're not just going to end up in a cul-de-sac, with 4 kids and like just this normal life, but that's what you're going to end up with. And she's like, that's not me, but it's totally her. And that's not a terrible thing. And she should just come to terms with like, that is me. I like that. I like Steve. I like my life. You know what I mean?
Well, I also don't, because remember he brings up in season 4, Steve does, that he had a vision that he's with Nancy and that he has a bunch of kids. And that's what like turns her off. She's like, oh, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But then
makes sense.
She wields that against him in this season is like, Steve says that he wants like 6 kids or whatever. And I'm just, that's not me. I was like, so you're saying you can't even have a conversation with him and be like, let's meet in the middle and maybe let's start with 1. We don't need 6. That's overwhelming.
Sure.
Like maybe you just need a little bit more time in the oven. But that's what scared you, is that he wanted a commitment with you and a life with you. It was just weird. It was like, why is that the thing that turns you off from him?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of endearing. Like look at how he is. Like if I were in his position, I probably want kids too. It's like, oh, I'm really good at this.
Yeah, if I were in her position, I would think he was hot. I would have been like,
sure,
wow, like he can handle kids. Like it doesn't
He's
bother
kept
him.
4 of
like,
them alive in the most dangerous of, like having a kid.
He's protective.
Right.
He's supportive. He's like, I mean, he's just gonna get a good stable job. Like he's a great match. You should go marry Steve. Like Jonathan, he's like an artsy guy. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
it's a big mystery. So like emotionally, sure, but she was already emotionally interested in Steve. Although I agreed, she was very young, so it's not like when they were first going out. So it's not really how much can you evaluate that.
Justice for Steve.
Yeah. So that was a weird conversation. It happened. I have more to say about it, but I think I need to wait until the finale.
Okay.
Because I don't feel like it's really fair.
Fair enough.
So let's pivot now to a good scene, a good resolution, and that's Dustin and Steve.
Okay.
Because they had a good moment in this, I thought.
Yeah, we had introduced the angstiness of Dustin's character from the first volume, which was, we thought, justified. It was well done, because he's all torn up about Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
He's torn up about the fact that the party wants to go along with things rather than take a stand like they have always done. And Steve is getting upset about it. He's like, you're just constantly thinking about yourself. You're putting everybody else in danger. You wanted to go get in a fight rather than help us with this crawl. And that's what led to a lot of these problems happening. So they finally have a confrontation.
Yeah.
Where Steve lays into Dustin and is like, look, dude, you can miss Eddie all you want, but Eddie got himself killed. He's like, we had a plan. He deviated from the plan and wanted to go be a hero, and that's what got him killed. He's like, you're trying to do the same thing, and it's getting everybody else put in danger. And he's like, I'm kind of sick of it. He's like, you need to start manning up and acting more mature, and you're not. And like, this is causing a rift. He's like, I don't feel safe here with you running around just being a free radical. So this is ridiculous. They like part ways. And I think one of the things that I disliked that this opens up, I'm trying not to be super negative the whole episode, by the way, but it provided a couple of these interactions with Jonathan and Steve. And one of the things that happens there is that they go to Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down, and Steve presents that he wants to go with Nancy, and that Jonathan goes with Dustin. And Jonathan's all upset about it because he thinks that Steve has these ulterior motives. And whether or not he does is never really clarified.
Mm-hmm.
But he throws in, like, no, you're not going to do that. That's stupid. Like, I understand what you're doing. You're just trying to be with Nancy.
Yeah.
And Steve is just like, no, I just don't want to be with Dustin. And frankly, I don't want to be with you either. He's like, so this is the best option.
It's like, logically, it makes sense.
But they never like follow through and finish that off because they just do it with Nancy and Jonathan's story that we just talked about with their like breakup thing.
Uh-huh.
But they never resolve it with Steve. What his intentions were. They just kind of throw that in for like the conflict between him and Jonathan.
I see.
But it does resolve with Dustin. Because finally, when Nancy shoots this thing and everything starts melting, Steve, being Steve, is like, I got to go rush up and help.
Yeah.
He's like, they are clearly in danger. This is bad. Something's going on. We don't know what it is, but I need to go and do something.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin does not want to do that. He thinks it's too dangerous. He sees the parallel, essentially, with what happened with Eddie. Eddie saw that he needed to do something to preserve time and ended up getting him killed. So Steve puts a ladder down over this melting goo, thinking that he's going to run up the stairs over this hole that's forming. Dustin stops him and he says, no, I'm not going to lose you too. And so they have this emotional moment where it's kind of a resolution that he didn't have with Eddie.
Yeah.
So you get a resolution with Dustin that you've been kind of seeing brewing under the surface for the first 4 episodes. And then you get kind of a smack of reality for Steve.
Yeah.
Because Steve is kind of throwing caution to the wind to do his thing at the risk of becoming a loss to his friends.
Yeah.
And so it kind of gives him an emotional weight too, because that's not what he's doing. He's just throwing caution to the wind in order to save his friends.
Yeah.
Thinking nothing of his own endangerment. But
yeah. And that's why I like how Steve had specifically said, like, oh, well, Eddie was just trying to be a hero and he got himself into danger and he caught it in the butt. Like, that's just how it goes, kind of thing. And then really it's like that's that kind of insensitivity that he can sometimes lean into,
right?
Where he'll say things that is not really just the most gracious way to view a situation. But it's not that he's ill-meaning. He's just, like you said, he's sick of Dustin's crap, basically. Like, here's the thing: is like Steve is a very well-written character because he always he never like says like directly. It's not obvious what he means. He's just like, oh, well, like, look at it this way, and he'll just present his perspective.
Right.
And then you have to challenge that, and that sometimes comes off kind of heartless or just insensitive, really. And when that happens, you have to kind of like read between the lines of like, well, what he's really upset about is the fact that Dustin's just not being pragmatic in any way, and he wants to hold to this emotional thing.
Right.
And it would be fine for Steve. Steve, I think, would respond better if Dustin just said what his emotions were. Then he would be like, all right, well, that's what we're talking about. But instead, he's like, nah, you're hung up on this Eddie thing. And so then he's just like, well, then it's just this, it's just that. And he just kind of badgers him with it instead of like being a little softer with that particular issue. But yeah, I do like the realization too, because like he kind of pans over as he's holding a crying Dustin and sees the ladder fall, and it's like, okay, maybe that wasn't safe. Like, a moment ago, I was going to be on that. Would I have made it? Probably not.
Never know.
Yeah. So it was but it was good to see how their bickering in the show now has a lot of purpose behind it, because they've been fighting with each other the whole season, and I was kind of like, man, you guys are just really kind of nasty with each other. What's the deal?
It was really mean.
And we weren't really seeing the depth of the argument come to fruition until this moment. So I thought this was a great payoff, because it was like, oof, like, so, like, we knew that Dustin was really hurt, but he wasn't willing to just like share and open up until he thinks Steve's going to die.
Right.
And then he's like, well, I'm just going to say everything that I didn't get to say to Eddie.
Yep.
And so, like, you're my best friend. I don't want you to die. I can't live with that, and that kind of stuff.
Better to say it before he dies.
Right. Exactly.
Not to say it at all.
Or to say it and convince him to stay alive. Like, either outcome I can live with, but I can't live with him dying again.
Yep.
And so when he's pushed to that breaking point. I thought that was really powerful. And before too, they actually fight each other, which I thought was a great evolution, something that is nice to see in like a finale season. Whereas before, like, Steve usually has to have some fight with someone, and they're like, he always loses, and then there's the one he wins, and everyone's like, you want to fight,
You beat the Russian or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So in this one, it's like he ends up fighting Dustin, his best friend, and then it's like, oof, that gives it some emotional weight that's not comparable.
Yeah, because
with
now
the
he doesn't
previous
want to
ones.
win.
Right.
It's like, this is a horrible thing we're doing right now.
Yeah, he's just trying to get him to stop. He's like, stop attacking me. Like, Anderson, pull it together, and Yeah.
But he pushed it to the brink, so whose fault is that?
Exactly. Yeah. And I liked that too. It's like kind of like they both had equal amounts of blame in that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, should we get to we kind of buried the lead.
Yeah. We could do it now if you want. Has to be done.
With that, let's talk about Will.
Will is gay.
Will's gay.
I'm shocked.
Color me surprised.
Dumbfounded I am.
I was, it came out of left field, that one.
Befuddled.
I was like,
completely befuddled.
Reveal of the century.
No idea it was coming.
Yeah, just
none whatsoever. There were no clues, no hints.
Nothing.
No suggestions.
Just, it was like, mind blown.
It was a real eye-opener for sure.
Oh, man.
I spent like 20 minutes on our last episode talking about how he was a sorcerer and like the analogy of like a queer coming out narrative playing. I was like, it's so thoughtful, it's so deep and dramatic, it's so interesting.
And then they're like,
and then they come at us with this. And they're like, in case you didn't get it, he's effing gay. It's like, I got that.
Whoa, what?
It wasn't hard to piece together.
Yeah, we got it. Thanks. Yeah, because it was a symbolic thing that not only alluded to these things, but it fulfilled the narrative of Stranger Things.
Right.
So when you were talking about how he releases his hands, lets go, and accepts these strange things about himself.
Right.
That's what was supposed to fulfill that arc. And I was like, well done, gentlemen. You did two things properly.
Right. And
you handled it all.
Yeah, you take it however you will.
Right.
But like
Will's never
Why
mind.
is it so important to them? Why do they have to take an 8-minute monologue of him explaining to everyone that he is gay? Half of those people didn't even know him. Collie's over there standing. He's never met her. Why would he feel comfortable telling someone he's never met?
Right. Who are you? What are you doing in here? Get out. Look, this isn't for you. But the thing about that too is you got Elle in the center, just mad dogging this guy like, Mike is mine. You quit looking at him. But like, so you got that. She's just stone-faced the whole time, no expression. And then you've got the people that matter actually have their interactions with him after the thing happens. So it's like, these are all moments that were better, but they're not part of the whole coming out thing. Because he has to sit everyone. There's like 20 people in this room. I was like,
so many people.
Why is this like this? Like, this should be to the people that matter, right? If this is something you've got to put in the show, which I think you should not have, I think the sorcerer thing accomplished all that within the Stranger Things narrative. Like, this is it. You did it. It's over. Move on. Let it happen.
Yeah.
But
I mean, imagine, let me just jump in for a moment. Imagine if at some point Elle had to say, it's like I'm a Wolverine.
Right. Like, oh, what?
We get it. Loss of memory, supernatural powers,
we get what
torture
inspires
experimentation. You have a Wolverine narrative. We can all see that. You don't need to say you're like a Wolverine.
Well, it's like,
we got it.
It's like Tolkien and Lewis, right? Because Tolkien hates allegory. But his story is all allegorical. I don't care how much you hate allegory, man. That is an allegorical story. But then you have Lewis, who's so on the nose.
Yeah.
That there's no other way to interpret what he's trying to say. It's like, Dude,
My way.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe
highway.
is a story about Christ. We got it. You even have the lion die, and he comes back to life to save everyone. Like
verbatim.
yeah, there's zero changes here. But it's almost like Tolkien wrote the story, and then Lewis came in and was like, I'm just going to write the Bible, and this is what it is. It's like, we know what you're referencing, man. Like, it was like, that was what, like, when it came through, it was like, okay, I get what you're referencing, and I also see what you're doing with the narrative. You handled both. Awesome.
Right.
Phenomenal. And it was a great arc. It was so good. And the thing, like, I think you even said it was like the best put to television or something. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it was the best character transformation I've seen.
Can't say
it
I
was amazing.
think of a different one. But yeah, and then they're like, let's denigrate what we did there
Right.
by being super blatant. I was like, no, you already have the symbol. It's already there. But you can't trust your audience enough
Right.
to accept that. So you had to come in and you're like, well, let's also give this. It's like you've just diminished all of the weight of the previous reveal.
Right.
Now this one, not only does it mean so little, but it's also like you paused the apocalypse. And we're like, hold on. I don't care if Vecna's out there right now trying to merge these worlds. You better sit down and listen to this. I was like, what? Like, he did something when he revealed it before.
Right.
He did
comes
something
out
important.
and he kills the three
Demogorgons
all at once.
With his mind.
With his mind. And it was amazing. Yeah, so, because the thing is now it's like they're just like, you know that trope of a character being reduced to nothing but their sexuality?
Yeah.
It's like
That's what they did.
That's what they did.
Yep.
It makes no sense. Like we had his character fully formed and it was like, wow, he's evolving into something new and he's finally like letting go of being
the fears
afraid
of the
afraid.
past, of what people think of him. Like,
Right. And
all
he's
that's
like,
in there.
this is me and everybody's going to have to live with that. Whether they like me or not is now in question, but I'm going to have to make my peace with that because I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. I'm not afraid. I'm going to be who I am. And it was like, that's such a powerful message. And then they're like, he's like, wait a minute, that's not good enough.
No.
Everybody has to know directly. And so then it was like, the only thing about me that matters is this. And so you just took away all of that other stuff, which, by the way, they have been doing this entire second volume, because as soon as the next episode begins, Will's back to being a pathetic wuss again. And he's just like, well, I don't know if I want to use my powers. I'm kind of scared. I was like, you're not scared anymore. That was the whole point of how you became a sorcerer, is that you were no longer afraid. So you would just do.
Yeah, because then it's important to lose in that state, which is what he did. But he went toe-to-toe with Vecna. Vecna won and tortured him.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, you're going to stumble and fall because he's just more experienced. Like, this is like Luke when he learns the Force and goes against Vader. Of course he loses. That's the point.
Right.
It's part of growing. But then he gets back up and he keeps going. He's like, okay, now I know where my weaknesses are. I'm going to rely on my friends for where those are at, which is like Mike and Elle and all that. So, yeah, it just felt like it just denigrated both the points at that point. It was just like, no, this isn't what this is about, though. But you're making it what it's about.
Right.
So now everyone has to be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll try to square that. But we can't. And that's why nobody liked it. That's the one. I think it's the lowest rated episode now.
It probably is at this point.
It's lower than the Warriors episode.
I think it is.
The other episode with Callie, which
poor Callie.
No one likes.
I don't even think it's her fault.
It's not.
She's in all the bad episodes.
Her character is the reason why, but it's not her. It's just, she did fine with what she was given, but yeah.
What she was given wasn't very much.
No, not at all.
Okay, and here's the other thing. I'm sorry, but we have to go back to the effing timeline again. We just have. It's like I said it before, but now I have to say it again. This is the 1980s. It's 1989 or 1988.
89.
Well, no, that's after the time jump.
80.
So it's
whatever.
it's 80. It's 1988. Okay.
Sure.
1988. Hawkins, Indiana, the Midwest, and there's like gay people up the wazoo in this place.
Well, it's Robin and it's Will
and Vicky
and Vicky, obviously, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot.
Which isn't. I mean, it's not statistically impossible, I suppose, but it's like you're asking a whole lot here.
Yeah,
it's
because
one
the thing
thing.
is
It's one thing if it's Robin.
Yeah.
and that arc was actually done pretty well. Because like Steve is the character that would, but he also grew with her, and then they were able to like have
there
that
was a
conversation.
reasonable explanation for why
Right.
Steve was accepting of Robin being the way that she was.
And we know that Mike would be accepting of Will if that's the case, but that is a conversation that should have happened there.
Yeah, like if Will's gonna tell
It should have been with Joyce, to be fair.
It should have just been with Joyce
Yeah.
and Jonathan, because that's his brother.
Sure.
Or just Joyce and then Jonathan later, or something like that. Or Jonathan dies, and then we don't have this problem.
No.
Then it would have been like, I never told Jonathan. He didn't know something so personal about me.
Sure.
You know?
And he would have, yeah.
And he could.
He was always, yeah. He'd
Then
always
he could
have my
cry
back.
about that, because I mean he's always crying about stuff. So some
gotta
some
fill
real
that,
to cry about.
fill that role every minute.
Yeah, he should have told them, like, because I get the point they were trying to make. The point they were trying to make is that he's like, well, I can't beat Vecna if I'm like
not myself or whatever.
if I'm not myself, because it's like, and I can't be myself when I'm afraid of what everyone's gonna do once they actually know me.
Yeah.
Because if you truly knew me, would you still be my friend, or would you still be my
Sure.
parent or my brother or whatever? And so he's like, I'm just gonna have to tell them, as much as that hurts, because then at least I know where everybody's gonna stand.
You know what I think would have been more powerful is if he had this conversation with one person, maybe even Mike, and said, there's something that everybody doesn't know about me, but what I know about everybody else is that it doesn't matter if they knew this thing or not, they would all still love me. Because we've had 5 seasons now of them going through hell together, of his mom basically going into hell to pull him back out.
Yeah.
And it's like, at that point, would you really not trust that they wouldn't accept that? I'm not saying that's not something you would tell someone at that point, but it would have been interesting to Will's character if after the sorcerer thing, he now he discovers that he doesn't have to be afraid of what people think of him, and he falls into that acceptance. And so when he tells that conversation with Mike and he says, "Hey, yeah, there's this thing," and I felt like maybe I needed to tell people, but I also felt like this is me, and I know that they would accept me no matter how I am, and I'm okay with that. Like if you just left it there,
right?
And it's like, oh, that's a pretty heartwarming moment. And then Mike could have just said, yeah, and I love you no matter what.
Yeah.
Because then they would have that moment between them two. Will would have shown that he's not afraid of what people think about him, regardless of what that thing is.
Showing he has real growth.
Right. You can include that narrative if you have to have it in there, and then you move on. Instead, you have, like he said, it's just this really long monologue with a lot of people that don't have anything to do with it. And it halted the whole thing. It's like, man. Yes. So.
And then it's like, so then everybody in the room is just like, oh, poor Will, we love you anyways and stuff. And I'm like, all right, so this scene was effectively pointless then.
Yeah.
Because if everybody's going to have the same reaction, then why did you have it?
Right.
The whole reason
There's
why.
no source of tension at all.
Right. Like, just from a storytelling perspective, if he's going to tell this huge group of people, someone has to have a problem with it. And they don't want to do that because it's just like, well, then someone doesn't like gay people in the main cast. And it's like, well, who cares? You're telling a story.
Right.
Like, people get over themselves.
Well, there's that, but there's also, this would have been better if they'd allowed it to settle or sit for a while. Like, if you saw what Vecna introduced into Will's mind, like what he's afraid of, and then he's sitting there worried about it for like an episode or two, and then he says something, then it's like, okay, now I understand, because he's been sitting afraid of it, and that's been eating at him, and maybe it affects whether he can use his powers or something.
That would work, and then it would show there's the rivalry. This is Vecna's counterplay.
Sure.
And then Will is like, all right, fine, then I will go deeper.
Yeah.
If being vulnerable is what I have to do, then I can do that too.
Sure.
Right? And so he's constantly challenging himself in order to stay one up ahead of Vecna so he can beat him. That would be good. That would be compelling.
It would have been better than this. But
well,
I mean,
all these options would have been better than this.
But see, we're trying to like fix something that didn't need to be fixed in the first place. You already had the answer.
Yeah.
So to do this is just doubling down on something that isn't necessary.
Stay the pen.
Right.
Hold it back.
Yeah. Just be like, I told my story. What do you guys want?
Right.
It accomplished both things. So we don't need any more.
Yeah.
But whatever.
This is the part of Stranger Things, though, that I just don't really like. It's when they want to have their cake, like, and eat it too kind of thing. Because it's such a fantasy. Like, it's a fantasy. Like even now that you could just, like, tell, a mass group of people that you're queer and have them just all have the same reaction. And, it's like, that's not so unrealistic in 2025 or 26 in
I mean,
California.
even so, with that
But
many
even
people,
so,
yeah.
with that many people, like you keep expanding the radius, and it's like even if some of them are just like, well, you're a weirdo, I don't know you, because a lot of them didn't know him, so
Well,
they would just think he was a
Callie's
weird.
just over there like, what are we doing?
Like, why do I need to know this?
There's a sorcerer overlord that's trying to destroy the world. I think we should go.
Well, and that's the point I'm making, is that like the fantasy is that, well, this is the 1980s nostalgia, but also it's our version, in which case there was no
There's no contention around that
there's
issue.
no issues surrounding people being queer whatsoever. So that's just in the past, because who wants to relive those awful memories? And I'm like, yeah, but you're also a show that goes into like, it's very symbolic of like the repressed trauma of the youth, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what Stranger Things is primarily about at its roots. So like, if that's the case, a queer narrative makes a ton of sense, and B, why on earth would you give anybody a free pass in that context?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's like, you would think it would have to become manifested as real. Someone should have had an issue with it, and you can redeem that character later. Maybe they just are upset that they didn't know, or whatever the reason is, right?
Yeah.
But if they have a problem with it, then Will could have been like, I don't care what you think. I'm my own person.
Sure.
I just had to tell you. And then it would have been like, oof, this is harsh, because now your characters there's infighting going on when really they need to stay united.
But
at
that
the
would have
crucial point.
That was solidified that he's not fearful anymore. Also,
Again,
which
yes,
is, yeah.
And those are the more
the
important
problem.
things, because that's really what it's about. Because otherwise, it's just the message of, well, you should just tell everybody around you, which is not always the safest thing to do. So
Sure.
this is bad advice
Yeah.
that Stranger Things is propagating.
Fair. Also, just wasn't effective. That's the main point. Narratively ineffective.
Yeah. It
Okay.
just like the plot just grinds to a halt.
Yep.
Everything stops. You sit through this very lengthy scene that's just propaganda at this point, and then it goes back into gear, and you're like, okay, I guess, what do we need that for?
Great question. So, I think that's good enough for Volume 2. Let's finish it out in the finale.
Sounds good.
And whatever we haven't gone over here, we'll go over there.
Yeah, I mean, we've come this way far. We got to
have.
talk about the finale.
Because I think that ultimately, when I saw the finale, that Volume 2 should have been completely different anyway. So, let's jump into that. Tune in next time. So you made it to the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought.